Welcome to the DenCast, everybody. This is our 6th episode. Tonight we have Sioux High cross country and track runner Gabe Litzner with us, along with his father, Aaron Litzner. Guys, thank you for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, we're not going to do that all night.
Okay,
there's no repeating. Gabe, summer's almost gone. What kind of preparations now are you putting in for the fall?
I'm just kind of starting to sharpen up my skill. I'm starting to do a little bit more speed stuff and a little bit like harder workout just to get myself ready.
Okay, so what does a typical summer workout look like for you?
I usually do like a couple like 4 mile repeats and then a warm up and a cool down, or some 1,000 meter repeats, some tempo stuff. So like not too hard, but not too easy either. So I get my heart rate up and everything.
Okay.
But you want to know like the week workout section, like?
Yeah, I'd love to know what goes into it.
So you can talk about like the week.
On Monday I usually do 7 to 8 miles, and then on Tuesday I usually do a workout, which is usually like 4 mile repeats and then like 9 miles in all. And then Wednesday is usually just a recovery 7 or 8 miles again. Thursday, same thing, just easy 7 or 8. And then Friday is usually another workout, which is basically the same as Tuesday or Tuesday. And so I just do some thousands that day, and then Saturday is my long run, which is usually about 10 or 11, and then Sunday's usually.
I could be mistaken, but I thought I just heard you use the phrase an easy 7 or 8. Did you say that out loud?
Yeah, I usually do it like at a pace, so it just I don't get my legs don't get fatigued or anything.
I can tell you 7 to 8 for me would pace right into Wednesday, not just Tuesday.
Yes.
So now, is this a workout you do on your own, or is Dad out there with a whip and a chair? I mean, what does that look like?
My dad usually tries to pace me for like 100 meters of it, and then he falls off.
Yeah, so typically he's running about 50 miles a week right now. I'm running about 40, and so he'll do some of the workouts on his own, but I try to do a workout when he does a workout kind of thing. And so just kind of training partner kind of stuff. Trying to keep it together for until he leaves, then I'll probably just retire.
Now, and being a teacher at Bawading, that's easy enough for you to do in the summertime. I mean, you have the free time to go out and run and work out with Gabe.
Yeah, and I do it all year round. I've run for 30 years now. I mean, around the calendar year. So, yeah, I've just always done it. I mean, I'm a little higher mileage than I would like to be because it's hard to recover now. But yeah, I just want to just keep doing it with them until I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Aaron, you're a St. Ignace guy, right?
Yes.
Originally.
Yes.
Go
Go Saints. Yeah.
Go Saints. Stop it. We do cover the Saints. That's true. That's true. And then you ran in college as well.
Yes.
Where did that happen at?
So I was actually set to go to the Marines, and that summer before I actually enlisted, I ran a few road races, and I ended up running against a few college guys, and then in the fall, I ran fast my senior year, and then I started getting recruited by a number of colleges, and then I ended up liking the coach up here and the team up here more than I liked them at Central, and Saginaw were recruiting and Western, and I just liked the team up here more. And so, like, when you live in the Sioux, there's a stigma a little bit attached to a hometown university, and I think that's everywhere, but it wasn't like that in St. Ignace. I mean, all of our good girls basketball players went here and stuff, and so that wasn't there. And so it was just exciting to come here, and I mean, we had a good team starting out. So
Sure.
yeah.
Now, Gabe, I imagine even though you're sophomore, junior?
I'm going in my junior year.
Going into your junior year, I would imagine that you've probably got a few college letters coming in at this point.
I've been talking to them and emailing them, and I just got the Grand Valley coach on text, and I emailed the Michigan Tech coach and the Michigan State coach and the Davenport coach.
Okay. If you had to pick a front runner like right now today, who would that be?
Right now, I'd probably go to Grand Valley.
Grand Valley. Okay.
Yeah, for right now.
That is a very popular destination for a lot of kids in my daughter Abby's class as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they've had a few national championships in the last few years, but it just kind of started because track season was truncated a bit, and so like his fall cross country season was phenomenal, and then you expect like that season of the track, and it was good considering the circumstances, but the times wouldn't say, stand out for Michigan State. He did go to camp this summer, and I was talking to the camp counselor, who's a Division I coach out in Virginia, and he's like, "You don't go Division II, Gabe, just because of who he kept up with. They were Division I athletes." He was like, "No, you're going to Michigan State." Like, so his expectations are pretty high for Gabe this year.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and so just the people that he was working out with and keeping up with. College freshmen.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Okay. So you've pretty much burned up the tracks and courses locally. Like I realize hills make a difference, weather makes a difference. Are there any other things that make a difference in running a cross country course?
Honestly, I just feel like how you feel that day, and like where your mind's at the day of the race and all that, and then obviously the course conditions and stuff. Competition and all that.
The faster the field, the faster you feel like you are?
Yeah, you just get pulled along when you're in a fast race.
Okay. Do you have a favorite course that you run?
Probably Shepherd and Rudyard. I like those courses because I always run fast there. And I only ran Shepherd once, but there was really good competition there, and I liked it a lot.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to get up for a race when you know, and I went through this my junior and senior year, when you know you're going to win by a minute in this area, and it's like, it's just another day kind of thing. And when you get to compete against the best in the state, like, you get up, you get the endorphins going, and you race really well because of that.
So, I mean, you've still recorded some pretty fast times, even against some of the local competition. How do you get up for that? I mean, and I know you don't want to say it out loud, but you go into those races, I would imagine, knowing you have a pretty good idea how they're going to turn out. How do you still find that motivation to drive and shoot for a time?
Honestly, so there's a website that has all the rankings, and that kind of like fuels me, and I just get really focused for those. If I really want a good time, I just go out there and just focus on what I need to do.
Okay. Now, do you wear a watch? Do you keep your own time while you're running, or is that something you don't worry about?
No, I never keep a watch, even when I'm running, like racing alone and there's zero competition, because it just kind of plays with my head. I've never really done that.
Okay, but Dad probably has a stopwatch in his hand the whole time, I would imagine.
Yeah, I just certainly do. Yeah. And so I'll get splits, and Coach Martin gets splits and stuff, and he's not able to relax as much as he was last year, even in the area, because you got Shea Armstrong is running a lot, and he's doing really well and coming along, and so it's nice to have some people move up.
Sure.
And so.
Well, I mean, that's
yeah.
Cross country and track are sort of similar in the sense that it's pack mentality, right? I mean, you want to finish 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 4, or I mean, that having those fast athletes on your team has got to help a little bit, I would think.
Yeah, it pushes you in workouts and just to be better.
Okay, let's turn back the clock just a few months for a minute. Okay, March 5th, 2024. You are working out, running through downtown Sault Ste. Marie, and why don't you take it from there and tell me what that day looked like?
I remember I went to the track. I did a track workout. Was running home, and I felt really bad that day. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was really lightheaded. I was crossing the road, and I don't remember anything after that because I went unconscious. But I remember waking up in the hospital because I don't remember getting hit. I don't remember any of that. But I do remember waking up, and there was like blood all over me and stuff, and I didn't really know what happened at that time. And it was just shocking. And I didn't really, I didn't even know what really happened to me.
Okay, so you were actually hit by a car crossing the road.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now I understand. Like at the time, you got no idea what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back at it, hearing people talk about it, uh, the list of injuries was fairly extensive, was it not?
Yeah, it was. I had a couple fractured vertebrae, and then I had
Four. Yeah.
yeah, four or whatever. I don't I forgot. But I had a bunch of lacerations to my kidney, my spleen. I had a blood
Liver.
clot. Yeah, my liver. I had a blood clot. A really bad concussion, and I had to get stitches in my fingers because I got hit so hard on my left side, and then I had a really bad cut on my face, and yeah, that was probably about it for the injuries.
Okay, that probably about it. Glad that was all.
Yeah, and it was the blood clot that kind of stayed around the longest. Blood clot, two blood clots in the legs, but and the fracture, and he had a fractured skull too. And so and just like cuts everywhere, road rash, across the entire body.
Okay, so I've been through some things with my kids, never anything like that. As a parent, I mean, how do you pick up the phone and you hear that? What's going through your head at that point?
So I remember we were in school and my wife got the call. I was in lunch at a meeting with my teachers, and my wife was like, "You've got to be, just got to be kidding me! Like, no way!" And the officer was like, "You need to get down here right now. He is really hurt, but he's somewhat okay." And so then we got down to the hospital. We rushed down there, obviously. And we were surprised on how bad it was. Like, just to see him and just blood everywhere, across the face. You could see bone, like, through his face. Um, and then just, I mean, it's just blood everywhere. And so then they brought him in. They did all of the X-rays, and they're like, so he's got these broken bones, skull fracture, and lacerations. It was four. It was four organs. I can't remember exactly, and it was like liver, spleen, kidney, and something else, like pancreas. And he's got all this lacerations. Internal bleeding is going on, and so that's when they were like, you don't see this, but he's got to go down to Grand Rapids right now. And so then, we left our other son at the school, and we're like trying to just digest this. And so then, like, the ER doctor's like, he's gonna recover from all this. I think it's like this is all something he can. He doesn't look like he needs any surgery. So then, we're like, okay, so my wife goes down, and she stayed with him so he was in the hospital for 6 days down in Grand Rapids because they had to monitor all that internal bleeding.
Okay.
And work with that. So then he goes to sit up after 2 days, or after a day when he gets down there, and he can't move his leg, and it hurts really badly. I wasn't down there. I was on the way down. And so he had to be in that neck brace because they weren't sure what was going on with the neck and stuff, and the fracture on the back of the skull. And so then they find that he's got 2 blood clots in his legs. And so I know from a family incident of my brother having blood clots, those things can stick around for years.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, it just, you feel better, and then it just downhill. And then so we get down, and my other son, we bring him down, and so then we're in the hospital, and it's just a roller coaster. Like, he's doing a little bit better, and then something else we find out. Oh yeah, he's got a punctured lung. So then we find that out, and so like half of his lung was collapsed, or a collapsed lung. That's what it was. And so then we find that out, and so he's got to do the breathing treatments and stuff, and they're like, he can't get pneumonia right now, or it's going to be bad. So then my other son comes down with a cough as we're down there, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, get him out of here, kind of thing. And so luckily we had family that came, and just like, and the teachers and the staff at JKL and the community was absolutely phenomenal. Like, absolutely phenomenal to like go through that. Like, you don't really realize like how good people are until you go through something like that. And it's like you got these, you see that the negative side of of people a lot, but man, the community just came and wrapped around, and just they're absolutely phenomenal. Like, I don't know what to say.
Well, I think, I mean, I personally, I know when we heard what had happened, I mean, it felt like somebody just kicked you right in the stomach.
Yeah.
And I think the entire community felt that way.
Yeah.
I mean, and not to say that they wouldn't have felt that way about anybody that it happened to, but particularly Gabe, who's coming off a monster year of cross country and track, and to have that happen to somebody so promising and so young, I mean, it was devastating to people.
And that's the thing, that youth and how strong he was. They said he shouldn't have survived this, really.
Well, and when you think about it, we had a similar incident not that long ago where a much older person was hit close to the same spot, and she never was, she wasn't able to recover.
Yeah.
And so I think it does speak to thank goodness it happened to a young person as opposed to somebody who's a little older and a little less able to bounce back. And which sort of leads me into my next thing, for the first however many days or weeks or whatever, you're thinking about, okay, leg movement, head movement. At what point do you start thinking about, can I run again?
I was thinking about that ever since like I got hit, just when I could run again. And it didn't hit me until a while after, until I realized I'm not running for a long time. And because at first I was like, I told Dad right after I got hit, I think I'm going to have to take today off. Or
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow off.
That's
or
what he
something
said.
like that.
He was on the bed, and that's exactly what he said. Dad, I think I'm going to have to take my day off tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I said, you're taking a little bit longer than that.
Yeah, may only do a mile today.
Yeah. And so, yes.
Yeah, and then it started to become a reality that I was going to run again, and not that long. Once I figured out how severe my injuries actually were because of the concussion and everything, I couldn't really think straight. But I would say it was probably at the end of March when I was like, I think I'm ready to run again. My blood clot is getting good enough to where I can run again. So it was about a month of no running for me ever since March 5th. So I started running again, and then
just so you know, the original prognosis, he could probably start running 2 weeks ago. So August. And so it was going to be 6 months of no running.
So just so you get this straight, you get whacked by the car on March 5th. By March 31st, you're putting tennis shoes back on and going back out.
I want to say it was like early April
I
that
think it was April
started.
Fool's Day. I'm pretty sure it was April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was April Fool's Day. We went out, and so the day before, he's getting antsy, and I'm like, let's go try the bike at the school. Because the week earlier, he had friends over visiting, and he stood up for, what, a couple hours that day trying to...
Yeah.
That was the longest he'd ever stood in 2.5, 3 weeks or whatever. And his calf just blew up. It was, just inflated, like... and so, like, that blood clot just kept... And so, like, and even walking around, he looked haggardly just a week and a half before. And so I made him go for walks 5 minutes a day just to work that out because
Sure.
the blood clot. And so then, so then I put him on the bike, and he's like, this feels good. It feels good to move. It feels good. And so the next day I said, you want to try to run a little bit?
Yeah, so I started running again, and the first day I started running, I ran like not even a mile, and it was really hard. I ran it like slower than my easy runs are right now, and it was really difficult for me. And it didn't even feel right to be running because I hadn't done it in so long. And then every single day I just ran a little bit more and a little bit more. And in the back of my head, I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to be fast at all this track season because I didn't realize how much of a damper that could put on like your season and stuff. But yeah, I started running and things were getting better, but they were still pretty bad for a long time.
Okay, so then track season is obviously getting ready to start at this point, or it has started.
It
maybe.
already had started,
Okay.
yeah. And they had their first meet April, 6th or something like that.
April.
Something like
Okay.
Yeah.
So beginning of April.
Yeah,
anyway.
beginning of April.
So we progress through the track season. We get to UP finals. What happens there?
I'm at UP finals. I was at the point where I was like, I'm fit enough to run okay, but I got beaten by Marquette kids the week before at a meet down in Grand Rapids, and I was like, I'm just gonna go out there and see what I can do. I wasn't very confident in myself. I didn't think I was gonna do too well there, and so I went into the mile, and I ended up placing second by a second. So I was like, fine with that, but then that made me realize that I should win this 2 mile, and so that gave me a lot of confidence. And then winning the 2 mile, it felt really good to come back from that and win, and it gave me a lot of confidence back and all that.
So I know I keep saying the phrase hit by a car. I mean, you're literally hit by a car in March at June 1st and 2nd. Is that when they do the UP finals?
Yep.
June 1st and 2nd, you are placing second in the mile and winning the 2 mile at UP finals.
Yeah.
And he set the UP record.
And set the UP record. Oh,
Yeah.
There's a little
And the 3,200 meters.
there's a little icing on the cake.
Yeah. And that was the big thing. It was like, so slowly I tried to build up his training because that's how you do things. You slowly build it up to let the muscles acclimate. But we couldn't do any speed work because we didn't want that clot to dislodge. And so it was always just once like the internal organs like kind of healed, and some of the facial and the scars and stuff like that. And so he wasn't even able to bend over. Like his first meet, he was cleared to run. What was your first meet? May 12th?
It was May 3rd.
May 3rd. So that week was the first time he was able to bend over and tie his shoes, because of those broken bones in his back. And so then he goes out, and he hadn't done really any speed work to that point. So everything was just, and that was a problem. And so like he didn't trust his kick at all through the whole season. And then he got to regionals, and he did really well. He won, but Marquette was kind of playing around, but he ran some good times. And so then he got to finals. Marquette kid beat him, and he still hasn't gotten to speed, and he didn't go in finals in the mile because he just didn't have the confidence to kick with them. And then he kicked down the Marquette kid, and he was catching the Houghton kid and just missed him by like a second at the end. And that's when it was that late in the season that he said, okay, it's coming back now. And so a little too late, but then he had the 2 mile, and like he and I talked about it. We were like, there's no way anybody's beating you. Now you know that you can kick.
Now you know you're back.
Yeah, now you know that if they run with you, you got them at the end. And so that's what it was about, is getting that kick back.
Okay.
And you just couldn't do any intensity until that blood clot cleared.
Sure.
And it did. So, yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Going back a lot further than that. Okay. You're a runner. You're running regardless. Gabe is young at this point. You know, when did you look at Gabe and say, we got something here?
So we're camping in Monaco Lake. What grade were you in?
I was in 4th grade or something.
4th grade. So I was going out for a run because I always did that. And he's like, I want to go with you. I want to go with you. I said, I'm climbing up that hill over there. I'm running and climbing up that hill. And then I'm doing a loop and coming. I'm like, there's no way you're keeping up with me. And so I'm not going to sit here and just like wait for you the whole time. We'll wait till you're ready to do it. I want to go. I want to go. I want to go. I want to go. I really want to go. I think I can do this. So he goes and stays with me the whole time. And that pretty much started it.
So at that point, you kind of had a hunch.
I'm like, I'm not great. I'm not that good anymore, but I'm good enough.
Yeah.
To know he just kept up with me and he's never run in his life.
But good enough that a 4th grader's keeping up with you. So
yeah, and running up the hill, and I'm pretty sure he passed me up there on the hill, and I was like, what the heck? This guy's got some talent here. And so, yeah, and so that's what started it. And that's what we always say when we go out to Monaco Lake. Like, that's what started it. We did that loop, and yeah, and so. And then it was about holding him back after that. It was like he wanted to do all these races, and I'm like, you need me to be a kid. Like, and so there's a lot of people who get their kids into stuff and like really into it. And we just didn't want to do that. And so we held off until really started training when he was going into his freshman year of high school. We always trained a little bit before track, a little bit before cross country, just to get his muscles acclimated. And then his times went down so much once he started consistent training.
Sure. Now, Gabe, I mean, I know winning is a big deal. What's the reward? Like, you go out and you run. Like, I know if I go out and I run, there is no reward. I'm tired. I'm mad at anybody who's got anything to do with me running. So I want to know explain it to me. What is the reward for running?
Basically just the thought that I'm the best, and like how I feel, and if I run a PR, it just feels really good, and it's a good accomplishment, and that like people recognize me and stuff like that. All those are just reasons why it just makes me feel good when I win or run a good time and stuff.
So is the runner's high real?
Yeah, definitely after a race, I'd say. I always get really happy and proud of myself after I run a good time, and I get really mad at myself after I run a bad time.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've been doing it for 30 years, and I've had a couple runners' highs, but just not for about 15 years. But I just get out there and grind every day.
I don't.
Yeah.
I've never experienced the runner's high.
Yeah. I don't get it very often anymore.
So we're not quite to the season yet, but do you feel like you are the Gabe Litzner of old headed into this cross-country season?
Yeah, I definitely feel like my training over the summer has been good enough to get me back to where I was and better than I was. We'll still have to see what I run in, like my times and placement, but I'm feeling good about the season ahead of me.
Okay. I know that you, in the past, you've run all the school events, and then you've gone out on your own a little bit and run a couple of different things. Is that the plan again this season?
Yeah, I'm gonna run the season and probably maybe a couple extra meets during the season, and then I'm gonna run a Mitka meet, which is a big meet downstate where some of the best guys go.
All the best guys after states, they take away the classes.
And everybody
just runs. And so that's where he last year was the second best sophomore in the state there. And the top sophomore in the state, who's still the top in track, he was 10 seconds behind him. Yeah. And Gabe got so much better last winter. His workouts were crazy fast, and I think he would have beat him last winter. Like, he was running so well, and then obviously, but so.
It sounds like things are back on the right track now, though. I mean, you're able to get out and do everything you were doing before without any limitations, it looks like.
Yeah, very happy about that, to be back and everything, and the feeling of being slow and just like not how I was before, that's gone, which is really good.
Yeah, be appreciative of that, because some of us just live that. That's our lives. So, that's my everyday. So, no, I'm really happy for you guys. I'm looking forward to seeing what you got, or what you, Gabe, specifically accomplished this year along with your teammates, and we really appreciate you guys coming on and hanging out with us for a little bit and telling some stories. It's good stuff.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for having us.
Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening, and we appreciate everything you guys do for us. So please share as much as possible, and we'll keep this going. Thanks again. Thank you guys for listening, and girls, and we'll talk to you soon.